Yes, people, we are back. A little bit of a different style of video today, of course. The deadline is literally tomorrow, and I've not had time to edit and produce a proper video like I normally do. So what you're seeing now is my entire FPL team. I don't normally do it this way. I do it bit by bit just so I can talk a little bit more in depth about each player. But I think this week I'm going to do it slightly different with the time constraints I'm under. I'm just going to talk about the problem points in my team and some of the players I'm interested in FPL at the moment. So, of course, we normally start the goalkeeper, and I think, well, that's what we should do today, simply because a lot of people are moving Areola away and bringing Dubravka in. And now, this makes sense when you think, yeah, similar price point. Newcastle are a decent defence. They've got some good fixtures coming up. But in reality, they've only got, 1, 2, 3, 4 good fixtures in the next 6, 7 games. I mean, I don't know. I would rather maybe do a transfer someone else. If you have the luxury this week of going, I like my team, the only thing I want to do is Areola to Dubravka. Honestly, I kind of do rate that, but for the majority of players out there, I think there's better players and better transfers you can make to get more points in FPL. Don't get me wrong, this could, be a fantastic transfer, one of the best in the last few weeks. You've got a cheap goalkeeper coming in for a really good top flight team. I just don't know. It's a bit iffy for me. I'm not quite sure about the transfer, but if you can and you have the luxury to do that, I honestly don't mind it. It kind of just blocks out, a few other moves potentially, but yeah, it's an okay move. Another problem point in my team, and particularly in a lot of people's teams, is the Aston Villa assets. Now, when I say Aston Villa assets, I really mean just Cash and DIABY. I feel as though anybody else, you're kind of okay. Possibly you could move away from Douglas Luiz as well. He's got difficult fixtures coming up. Man City at home. In all honesty, Man City at home, yes, it's probably the hardest fixture, but it's at home, and I feel like Aston Villa really got that edge this season at home, and that's why I would keep Watkins, but possibly move on DIABY and Cash, especially with the bad fixtures they've got coming up. Coming on at half-time-ish for Cash and DIABY. Yeah, they didn't start, which wasn't great, and it doesn't give me hope in the next few game weeks, especially with how Leon Bailey is playing. I think he's kind of fighting for his position, and it shows in his game. But I feel as though we can move these guys on for now anyway. And Buemo, a lot of people brought him in, and people were disappointed with his assist. He got a return, but for the people who transferred out, like Bowen, to get Mbeumo in, you're up. You are positive in that transfer. Do not worry. The reason we've brought this man in is to last up until game week 21, game week 22-ish. So give him time. Give him time. If you're disappointed in Mbeumo, please give him time. I think, you've got a good asset there. It sounded like when I was looking at Twitter and stuff that he missed a few key shots and things like that, but it happens. People own Darwin Núñez, and that happens every week. It's one of the reasons I don't have Darwin Núñez in my team. You never know. But yeah, Son, another talking point, big player. I think if you still have him, keep him. I don't think selling him to get somebody else in is really the move, unless it's like a big player like a Salah, or a way to get Haaland back in if you don't have Haaland. I feel as though Son is just, he's a really good asset. And keeping on the theme of Spurs, I want to talk about somebody, well, 2 or 3 people I really want to target and look at. So the first one seems a little bit obvious. Pedro Porro, on a lot of people's minds, attacking, plays all the time. He seems solid in that position. I think secondary to Porro is Udogie, and that's the type of player I'm looking at the moment, a Udogie type of player, an attacking fullback. He's going to be getting a lot of minutes, even if he comes on for a little bit early. you're paying that cheaper price point for him anyway, so you kind of have to expect that. You could just shell out the money a little bit more and go for that Poro move. You know, they don't have the worst fixtures. I mean, the kind of iffy. You're not looking at too many clean sheets, but I think the attacking potential for Spurs outweighs that a little bit, and we've seen that against a very good side in Man City. And a player that's been standing out in the past 2 games in particular for Spurs is Lo Celso. Now, of course, he's a midfield option, and he's very, very cheap. Let me just quickly look for you guys how cheap this man actually is. Let's filter midfielders. Lo Celso is 4.8 million, and he is playing very, very well for Spurs at the moment. Again, if that's like a move that interests you, by all means, get that in as soon as possible. You know, you're looking at someone who is under the time frame where if Maddison comes back in, he loses place. So I think if that's on your mind, I like Lo Celso, I like how he plays. You know, that goal was really good. I kind of want him in. I think now's the move to do it. If you wait and you wait, is he going to play this week? I'll wait to see. I think you're going to miss out on the train. I think it's not going to be similar to Anthony Gordon, because Anthony Gordon is doing fantastic. But I feel as though the train for Lo Celso is leaving the station. If you don't get on, chances are you don't want to get on at a later stop. Similar to Gordon, you know, good fixtures for Newcastle coming up, but his price is slowly creeping up. It's slowly creeping up. And as we go, yellow cards get a problem, injuries get a problem. Could Wilson come back in the team, Isaac on the left, and push him on the bench? You just never know. And I think the time is to act now on players like Lo Celso, Gordon, Isaac, these time constraint players, because people are coming back from injuries and they're going to get pushed their minutes down a little bit, if not completely down. But yeah, we just don't know at the moment, especially with James Maddison coming back. I feel like Lo Celso, as good of a player he is, he just lacks that tiny bit of flair and creativity that Maddison does. Yes, he's a fantastic player, but Maddison really just unlocks that key and just pushes the door open for Son to finish these chances. And you can really tell, especially with Son's output, and you know, just how Spurs are really looking in that final third. But yeah, Lo Celso, Udogie, Pedro Porro, those type of players really interest me. I just love how Spurs are playing, and I think I need a few more assets of those guys. Pardon me. Gahey, problem point is next week for me. I've got Bournemouth at home fixture, which I really like. But my priority transfers with my 2 free transfers are Cash and DIABY. I feel like everything else can stay. I can just about manage. You've got Adingra on the bench, who again, big problem point. He's not doing what I expected him to do. His numbers are really bad as well. But I feel as though taking DIABY out, taking Cash out, I've got a bit more capital, I've got a bit more millions to really throw funds about and making some aggressive moves like the Celso, Udogie, players like that. You know, you could look at other players who people are bringing in. Zinchenko, a lot of people are bringing in. Isaac, you could really target that, man. You have your 3 strikers as Haaland, Watkins, Isaac. You're laughing, to be honest with you, but it's getting the funds available to do that move. Let's quickly think about something else. I think that's the majority of my team's problems really talked about. Gabriel, he's got some hard fixtures coming up, but you know, if I can drop him to the bench and play Adingra, that's fine. The only thing I would say is about captaincy. Now, Aston Villa away for Haaland, I don't particularly like. Rodri is suspended. City, I think we all watched that game and realised City really aren't the team they were. And it's strange to say, because they are the best team in the league. Without a doubt, they're fantastic at football. But there's just something about it this season that just feels slightly off. And it could be the fact that De Bruyne is out. It could be, you know, a load of things. But yeah, something slightly off. And I don't really like Haaland as a captain. Of course, you could go Salah straight away. That makes the most sense to do, because Sheffield are rubbish. They are the worst team I've ever seen in the Premier League. It's just 3 points to get anyone who's playing them each week. It's crazy. Like, you could even build a team in which and whoever plays Sheffield, you just put the great players from the team that are playing them and just captain them and just hope that there's just a 5-goal thriller. Like Bournemouth scored that many passes. It's crazy, man. Burnley as well, like 5-0 is just mental. But yeah, Son interests me just a little bit about captaincy. He does slightly take my fancy, but I don't think I can ignore the Sheffield fixture for Salah. I think it's going to be either a million goals and Salah gets a lot of them, or like last season when they played Bournemouth, 9 goals, Salah, nothing. So you never know, but for me, Salah's really looking like a great option. Personally, let's just recap my moves and what I'm going to be doing. Cash, down to a Udogie, a Pedro Porro, maybe even a Zinchenko, some player type, that type of player, attacking player, someone's going to get bonus points, and I think Zinchenko really fits that mark with the good fixtures, but it's coming to some difficult fixtures in the middle of the good fixtures now, which slightly worries me, but Arsenal are a good defensive team, and I think having 1 or 2 assets in defence from them is really good shout. Midfielder-wise, DIABY probably has to go. If I wanted to, I think I could go Cash to Udogie, Adingra to Lo Celso. That could work, and then DIABY bench, but I don't really want DIABY. I think the minutes are a risk now. He's not the type of player I really want on my team. I think DIABY has to just do a straight move to somebody else. I've got 7.7 million if I put Udogie in for Cash and then transfer DIABY out for somebody else. You could look at players like Luis Diaz, Sterling, Cole Palmer, a player like that, and maybe an Anthony Gordon. There's a lot of ways I could go in this midfield, and I think making the most future-proof team I can for the next 6 weeks in terms of midfielders, defenders, is going to get me points in the long term. I think a lot of people are chasing the short-term fixtures, trying to squeeze them in until this AFCON, Asia Cup, these blanks coming up. But I think it's going to hurt people. I think we need to be planning a little bit longer term because, injuries are present, and I think we just need to have a little bit of a thought about that in our heads before we make our moves. But that is completely everything I can possibly think about for FPL. Now, completely different style of video. I do apologise if it's not the same as it has been. I hope it's been somewhat insightful for the week to come, but that is everything for today's video. If you're watching right now to this point, thank you so much for watching. I've recently bumped up in a few subscribers. I know it's not a lot, but it means quite a lot to be seeing that number just slowly creep up, and you guys keep supporting me in that way. But thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now.
Oh